Welcome to the special edition of Events.com's Ask an Event Pro. My name is Bob Babbitt. With me, Colleen from Lululemon. How are you?
Hi, Bob, and well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, congratulations on the art run the other night. How cool was that?
Thank you. So cool. Amazing to have 600 runners out, building community, running together, amazing energy, and exploring some new art installations.
One of the things we were talking about the other day is you mentioned, from a Lululemon perspective, full body, right? This is all about running as one portion of what people do. Talk a little bit about what the philosophy is.
Yeah, our goal really is how do we continue to help people reach their fullest human potential in body, mind, and soul. And so run, the athleticism part of it is one piece. Heart, like how do we continue to create community, give runners something that they need, and then for their mind, how do we continue to support them through mindfulness, through meditation in ways that help them achieve their fullest.
Now, what's your background?
My background. Well, I've been with Lululemon now for 3 years, and in my time there, I've focused on brand and community. The big charge I have is how do I continue to help elevating the world.
So are you based primarily here in LA? Do you work with Lululemon around the country or mainly here?
Yeah, I'm based in LA. I used to cover the Southwest US, and now I'm solely focused on LA, which is amazing.
So Lululemon, their background is yoga. And how has the brand changed over the last number of years?
Well, you know, when the brand started, it was really rooted in yoga and run, and not a lot of people realize that.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, so run has always been a part of the DNA of Lululemon, and grounded in these practices. The company's always been committed to helping people live their happiest, healthiest, fullest lives.
So, in terms of the running industry, when did you become immersed in it, and what have you found out about it?
So much. In the past 3 years, really looking at run and where are the opportunities. And in my role, I'm not a run expert, but what I am is really that catalyst. So actively listening to the community. What does the community need? What's happening in the community? Sharing that information, and most importantly, connecting people together so that we can create something that wouldn't otherwise be possible. So for run, we started 2 years ago really looking at how do we support the athlete in body, mind, and soul. And as Peter shared, last year we really took the approach of mindful performance, and we collaborated with sports psychologists, meditation teachers, runners, and we created an experience for them that really brought that other aspect of run to the table through their mind. And so we had an amazing interactive experience at the expo where, in the middle of chaos, 21,000 runners coming through. How do we bring calm? And so the runners were able to come in, put on a headset, sit down and look at a screen and really focus. The screen was this amazing visualization that started in the mind, brought people through this, and the meditations, one done by a sports psychologist, one done by a meditation teacher, knowing that not all runners are going to maybe be ready for meditation, but if they know they have a world-class sports psychologist with them, how do they take that in? And they sat and they would listen to these 6-minute meditations.
What's impressed you about the running community? What did you learn about it that you didn't know before? Right now, as we look at what we did Monday night too, what impresses me most is the heart and soul of this run community. These runners, when we looked at the trajectory of run in LA specifically, in the 70s, run really became the sport, individual competition, best. In '84, when the Olympics were here in LA, we saw the very first marathon for women, which was really amazing. And run became more of this movement. And now, as we've looked back at the past 2 years, we're seeing a very strong social movement. And these runners are coming from the urban areas. They're not these traditional run clubs where they train for a marathon. They're very socially inspired. And what's amazing is that what we're seeing in talking with the run leaders of LA is that they love the city. They want to explore the city. They love being socially connected, and they're really committed to one another. What surprised me was hearing it's like, okay, we're putting on a running event. Running events are 7 in the morning, not 10 at night. You're doing an event at 10 at night. I'm going, okay, there's going to be 3 people show up. But you had 600 show up, and it sounds like with the different clubs that are out there, this is an everyday occurrence, that these clubs are out there with a couple hundred people running in the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight. Did that surprise you?
Well, it's late for me too,
Yeah.
but I was so energized. It surprised me and it didn't as we met with the run leaders. In October, we brought 10 run groups together and we asked them, what do you need? And what do you want? And what does the run community need? And they gave us some amazing feedback. And it was during that process of really getting to know them and actively listening that we learned, this movement happens at night, which is amazing. They're fully committed, and this movement is completely growing through social media. So, it surprised me and it didn't that it was so late. But the thought that all of these runners would come out to support one another, and I think that was the biggest feedback we got. The running part was amazing. The art, so we stopped. We had worked with 4 artists, looked at 4 art installations. The artists were all out there. It was really a community building experience, and the energy, and Peter shared, Rod Dixon was like, yes, this is what it's about. It's about the fun, and you saw and felt that the entire time.
What have you learned from runners in terms of Lululemon clothing? What type of input have you gotten from runners that it's led to either changes or adaptations to their product?
Well, we create product for runners by runners, so we are always actively seeking feedback from runners. What we learned, especially right now in this process, is that they run at night, and so reflectivity is really key. So even like my pants I have on today are full reflectivity to keep them safe.
Yes.
Runners, we also did a product with a reflective crest on it to support them, being bright at night. So that's really key. We also are learning a lot about what do they need, and even last year working with a lot of elite athletes, having them run, try on the product, giving us feedback, like what works on top, what works on bottom, and really continuing to form. And so we're wholly committed to feedback, and we give that directly to the designers every time.
With the success of this art run, is this something that maybe becomes a little serious? I love the idea. I think it could play in San Diego and San Francisco.
Yeah.
That could play all over the place. That could be a nationwide series.
It's a great question, a great point. Something that, when we set out to connect and to inspire the run community, our true charge was inspire.
Right.
And we heard Ben Rosario speak to that last night, and that's exactly where we're at. It's how do we continue to inspire?
Right.
And so we don't want to come to the table with the great idea. We actually actively listen. And so the run leaders are so pivotal in what they want. They know they're the heart and soul of LA, and they know the pulse. And so as we look at what's possible, for me, I think about how do we continue to elevate their vision and goals.
Yes.
Because it's when we do it through the people, I think that's where we get the 600 people versus us creating something and having them
trying to dictate.
Yeah, and so it's really powerful, and I think something that Lululemon does beautifully is that we listen. We do that through our ambassadors, we do that through our community relationships. It's never about the transaction, it's always about the relationship. And it's new, not everyone gets it. They're like, really, you want to help us? And so
what do you get out of it? What's the deal?
And that's how Monday night came about. When we brought these leaders together and asked them, they said they needed education because there are so many new runners in LA right now.
Yes.
Thousands of new runners. They were like, we don't know how to train the beginner runners so that they're not,
so they don't get injured. Yes.
Exactly.
We need them to stay in.
Exactly. Yeah. We don't know about nutrition. Tell us more, mindfulness. We asked, is that something that interests you? Do you want to help reach your peak performance through mindfulness? And they said yes. And so part of what we created was also a run workshop series with local experts here. So again, not us. We build the collective.
Based on the feedback.
Based on the feedback.
That's fascinating.
And we supported 200 runners in being educated on injury prevention, on nutrition, on mindfulness. And we did bring them yoga for runners. We know that there's a crosshatch of yogis and runners, and so we definitely wanted to support them in that as well. And then it led to Monday night. It wasn't our idea to...
Let's put on an art run. It sort of came from different conversations with different groups.
Exactly. And, Blacklist LA, which Peter's talked about, an amazing group. I mean, huge, the largest here in LA right now, I'd say. One of their vision and goals was to create more art. They run every night based off art, and it was to create more art. And for us, we also were looking at the pulse of LA, and there were articles just happening at the same time about how so many walls in LA are going like undone, unkept.
Yes.
And then when we married that with the Do Art Foundation, when we said, who does this best? The Do Art Foundation, they're committed to revitalizing the social and physical landscapes of LA, and they want to pique the public's imagination through art. And so it was this natural collective that happened where I don't know that we see that a lot, where it's a corporate, it's a nonprofit, it's a social movement coming together to create something for the community.
Well, it's a different model, because usually the model is we pick a date and we're doing our half marathon and we're getting our permits, and that yours came from discussions and communication with other folks who said, hey, this is what we need, and you sort of acted as the conduit and put it all together.
Well, and that's the beauty of, when you want to create, when you're in that space of co-creation, something bigger can happen than what you expected. And that's I think the magic of where Lululemon sits. It's how do we build the collective and look at people's vision and goals and elevate it. And Eric Valiente, the leader of Blacklist LA, at the end of the night, he came to our team and he said, I just want to thank you, because this has been one of our dreams for 2 years and you just made it come true.
Love
and
that.
That's like the movement we want to be in, and we have amazing technical product to support it, but we're always in the people business first.
Love it. Colleen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Colleen Angelis has been our guest. Hold on, everyone. We will be right back.
Hi, this is Cassie, visual designer at Events.com. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to learn more tips.